Who would think? Who would think? But getting over the top is easy. These are like professional mountain climbers. They're incredible climbers. They can't climb some of these walls. Some of them they can. Those are the walls we're not using.
Democrats in Congress oppose providing funding for the wall, of course, but some go further than that. Recently, some on the left have called for ending all federal border enforcement, period. Senator Kamala Harris of California says that ICE should be abolished entirely. Washington Post editorial today agrees. How is that distinct from having totally open borders? It's not yet clear. Henry Fernandez, a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, joins us tonight. Henry, thanks for coming on.
Good to be here, Tucker.
So there's obviously a lot of concern about illegal immigration, whatever you think the best solution is. What do you think the downside for American citizens is of illegal immigration?
Well, let's start with this wall that Trump wants to build. And let's remember that he first told us that it was going to be built and paid for by the Mexicans. They've said they won't do that.
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, and I'm happy to talk about the wall. But first, I want to get to the predicate for the wall, which is the concern about illegal immigration. Why should we be concerned about it? What are the downsides of illegal immigration for American citizens?
Well, I think you're the one who has this big concern. Immigration, undocumented immigration, people coming into the U.S. without documents or overstaying visas. Yes. Those things are all way down. They've been down virtually every year for some time now. So it's actually not a very significant problem. Instead, this is really something that Trump is drumming up in order to scare people. And it really doesn't have much basis as a serious problem right now. So you don't think that
when people come over, because people do come over, I mean, there are a lot of people apprehended at the border, and there are, of course, more than 10 million illegals living in this country. You don't think that American citizens are hurt in any way by that or have any legitimate reason to be concerned by it?
Again, I'm trying to understand what the big concern is here. What we're talking about is a border wall that would cost somewhere between $60 and $120 billion, money that would just be taxpayers' dollars wasted for something that won't work. The solution,
well, but hold on.
How do you overcome a 30-foot wall with a $32-foot ladder that you can get for $300 at Home Depot?
I'm familiar with the bumper sticker, though. I wonder if you're concerned at all about the effects on employment. So just to give you one among many examples, there are 7 million American prime-age working men who've dropped out of the labor force. And they tell, there's a recent report by the Fed on this, they tell researchers that the wages that they're competing for are too low, and one of the reasons is because of competition from immigrants. So you don't think that that's a concern at all? That doesn't bother you at all? Is that something you've looked into? Should people be worried about it?
Well, I think if we look at economic analysis, no, that should not be a significant concern for people because immigrants help build the economy, which raises wages. What we've seen is wages are now, as unemployment has come down close to 4%, wages are starting to raise. That's what we would expect in this economy or any economy.
Then why are there
immigrants are essential to growing the economy.
But let me ask you though, why, if we have approximately 11 million people here illegally, and we have, just to name one among many numbers, 7 million American citizen men of working age not working, why wouldn't we prefer the citizens to be working instead of the people who are here illegally? Should we give priority to our citizens, I guess is my question. Do you think that we should?
So I really feel like the premise of the question is missing just basic economics. If we want to create jobs, we need a robust entry of immigrants into this country. That's what allows us to grow jobs in this country. It's
but we have 11. Hold on, we have 11 million. So no, we have 11 million at least. The number may be far higher, but the baseline is 11 million illegal alien workers in this country, and we still have one of the highest workforce non-participation rates in modern history. So how many more illegal workers will we need in order to help American citizens? What do you think the perfect number would be there?
Again, I just reject the entire premise of the question. So you could keep asking it, but
No. I'm trying to get to what you're saying. You're saying we need more illegals here because it helps our economy. We have 11 million.
The economy,
how many more will we need?
I'm trying to answer the question
I know.
in the only way
Please
that
do.
I can, which is based on facts, right? And the fact is that immigrants help grow the economy. That's what brings people into the workforce. That's what creates jobs.
Oh, and I'm responding with actual facts by telling you that hasn't worked. So I'm just wondering what would work. Let me ask you this. If you say we face no threat at all from illegal immigrants in this country and our fears are rooted in bigotry or whatever, they're irrational, and that we don't need a wall, well, that's the supposition. I mean, a lot of people are afraid of illegal immigration. You're saying we have no reason to be, so clearly it's irrational, in your opinion. Then why wouldn't we follow the lead of a lot of your fellow Democrats and abolish ICE? Are you for that?
Well, certainly if we look at the fact that we haven't had ICE, we didn't have ICE prior to 9/11, right? So we've certainly been able to do
the same thing.
We've been able to do, well, no, right? It wasn't part of this super agency at DHS, which creates what we've seen in the transition to ICE is a real cowboy behavior, this sense of people acting on their own outside of constitutional requirements. So I can see absolutely why Senator Harris would raise such a concern.
So do you think it's a legitimate thing to say, let's abolish ICE? I mean, yes or no? Pretty simple question. You think it is?
I think I answered it. I said I think Kamala Harris raised very serious issues, and I think they should seriously be considered. I think that's
good. I mean, I just want to make sure, look, I don't want to misquote you, and I think our viewers and the country should know what the position is of the progressive left on ICE, and you just explained it, and I appreciate that. Henry, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tucker.
A video going viral on the left shows a mother being arrested by ICE, those cowboys you just heard of. It's a pretty upsetting video, and for that reason it's getting wide play on the left, but a key detail is being left out. The woman in that video, Perla Morales Luna, isn't simply some random illegal alien pulled off the street by those cowboys. She's suspected by the feds of organizing a human trafficking operation. Mark Krikorian is executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, and he joins us tonight. I don't know if I've seen coverage as dishonest as this in a long time. I mean, this is the definition of propaganda. If you show that video and take out the context, it's a little bit like showing the man standing in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square without the tank. It totally changes the meaning of the image, correct?
Of course, and that's kind of the point. I mean, this happened near the border, about 10 miles north of the border. There are illegal immigrants all over National City, California, where this happened.
Right.
The Border Patrol, if they wanted to randomly arrest illegal immigrants, which they don't waste their time with, they wouldn't have done this. They knew that this woman was involved in a smuggling ring, and they sought her out. They tried to get in touch with her before. She didn't respond. Apparently when they confronted her on the street, she tried to flee. She tried to get in another car and drive away. So that, and she's resisting arrest, as you can see here. So, the Border Patrol did its job here. Yes, it's an upsetting video because everybody's yelling and screaming, but, this woman put herself in this situation by working with these criminal smuggling rings.
Well, apparently, I mean, I don't think that the case has reached its conclusion, but I guess the point would be there was a reason for this. She wasn't just some hapless victim on the street. So you just heard, I believe, the head of immigration studies at the largest progressive think tank, the Center for American Studies, say that progress, that we ought to seriously entertain getting rid of ICE. This is a new talking point on the left. What would happen if we did that?
What would happen? Who would be enforcing the immigration laws? I mean, that's the real question here, because the Border Patrol does its job well, and they'll probably call for getting rid of the Border Patrol next, but the Border Patrol does a good job at and near the border. But most immigration enforcement happens inside the country. Who does that? ICE does that. So what they're saying is that, in effect, once you get past the Border Patrol, you should be home free. And this isn't some new thing. I mean, this is essentially what Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders said during the campaign, that any illegal immigrant who gets into the United States, who doesn't actually kill somebody, isn't convicted of a violent felony, that's the way she put it, should be allowed to stay. So this really is not some kind of offbeat outlier opinion. This has become the position of the standard position of the left, and it really shows how radicalized the Democratic Party has become.
Does the public support that? Is there broad support for eliminating all border security?
Of course not. I mean, obviously not. And this is why, in some sense, Republicans should encourage Democrats to run on this platform of abolishing ICE.
Because they're not very smart and they seek their own demise, they won't run on this, will they?
Some of them might, but generally speaking, no. I mean, there's a reason the Democrats are the evil party and the Republicans are the stupid party, that they wouldn't take advantage of this. And it's not even as though they would need to, you know, exaggerate or use hyperbole. They really just need to let the progressives say
I agree.
What they
if I'm
actually
getting rid of the military, I'm taking an affirmative position in favor of our enemies. How is this different? I mean, I don't think it is.
Well, they don't believe in borders or immigration.
Well, I'm glad they're saying it, by the way. I'm serious.
I agree.
I think it's worth it always, to be honest. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.